I never expected a pizza delivery to completely upend my life. I'm Helen, 48 years old, married to Greg for 15. What started as convenience food orders during my husband's frequent business trips became something that would make me question everything I thought I knew about desire, temptation, and the dangerous territory between loneliness and reckless passion. My husband Greg works in pharmaceutical sales, traveling 3 weeks out of every month. After 15 years of marriage, I'd grown accustomed to eating dinner alone, managing our suburban home by myself, having conversations with Netflix instead of my spouse. At 48, I still maintained my figure through yoga and careful eating, but Greg barely noticed anymore when he was home. That's when I started ordering delivery more frequently. It was easier than cooking for one, I told myself. Tony's Pizza became my regular spot, and that's when I met Tyler Morrison. The first time he knocked on my door that rainy Tuesday evening, I wasn't prepared for what I saw. Instead of the usual middle-aged delivery driver, there stood this incredibly handsome young man, maybe 23, with dark hair, piercing green eyes, and the kind of confident smile that made my pulse quicken in ways I'd forgotten were possible. "Mrs. Henderson," he said, holding up the pizza box with a grin that could melt steel. "Large margarita with extra basil." "That's me," I managed, trying not to stare at how his delivery uniform stretched across his broad chest. "Tyler," he said, extending his free hand. "I'm new on this haven't seen you before." When our hands touched during the exchange, I felt a jolt I hadn't experienced in years. His grip was warm, strong, and he held it just a moment longer than necessary for a simple business transaction. "Helen," I said, surprised by how breathless I sounded. "And thank you, Tyler. The pizza smells incredible." "Not as good as you smell," he said with that devastating smile, then caught himself. Sorry, that was inappropriate. You just have really nice perfume." Heat crept up my neck. When was the last time anyone, especially someone young and gorgeous, had noticed anything about me besides my credit card number? "Thank you," I said softly, feeling more feminine than I had in months. As he turned to leave, he glanced back. "Hey, Miss Henderson. Helen, if you ever need anything else, anything at all, just call Tony's and ask for me specifically. I'd be happy to take care of you." The way he said "take care of you" made my stomach flutter with possibilities I shouldn't have been entertaining. That night, I ate my pizza and thought about Tyler's smile, his voice, the way he'd looked at me like I was something special instead of just another address on his delivery route. When Greg called from Phoenix, I found myself distracted during our usual boring conversation about his sales meetings and client dinners. "You seem quiet tonight," he said. "Everything okay?" "Just tired," I lied, thinking about green eyes and a confident smile. The next week, Greg left for another extended trip, this time to Denver for 10 days. By Wednesday, I was placing another order with Tony's, specifically requesting Tyler for delivery. This time when he arrived, he lingered at the door. "How's your week going, Helen?" he asked, leaning against the doorframe in a way that showed off his lean physique. "Better now," I said before I could stop myself. His eyes lit up with something that looked like interest. "Yeah? Rough week?" "My husband's been traveling a lot lately. It gets quiet." "That sounds lonely," he said, his voice gentler now. "A beautiful woman like you shouldn't have to eat dinner alone all the time." Beautiful. When was the last time Greg had called me beautiful? "Would you like to come in?" I heard myself asking. "I could make some coffee." "It's starting to rain again." Tyler glanced at his delivery car, then back at me. "I probably shouldn't. I'm still on the clock." "Just for a few minutes," I said, "until the rain lets up." Something passed between us in that moment, and understanding that we were both stepping into dangerous territory. Okay, he said quietly, just until it stops raining. I led him into my living room, acutely aware of how his presence changed the atmosphere of my usually quiet house. He sat on one end of my sofa while I made coffee, and when I returned, I deliberately chose the spot next to him instead of the safe armchair across the room. "This is a beautiful home," he said, accepting the coffee cup. "You have great taste." "Thank you. I did most of the decorating myself." "Greg's not really interested in aesthetics." "His loss," Tyler said, his eyes meeting mine. "I bet you're interested in a lot of things he doesn't appreciate." The comment hung between us, loaded with meaning. Neither of us was quite ready to address directly. "Tell me about yourself, Tyler," I said, trying to steer the conversation to safer ground. "Are you in school?" "Just graduated from state," he said. "Business degree. The delivery job is temporary while I figure out what's next." "What about you? What do you do when you're not ordering the best pizza in town?" "I used to work in marketing," I said, but Greg wanted me to focus on the home once his career took off. "And what do you want?" he asked, leaning slightly closer. The question caught me off guard. When was the last time anyone had asked what I wanted? "I don't know anymore," I admitted quietly. "Maybe it's time to figure that out," he said softly. The rain had stopped, but neither of us mentioned it. We sat there talking about dreams, disappointments, the strange directions life takes you. Tyler was intelligent, funny, attentive in ways that made me remember what it felt like to be truly heard. When he finally had to leave, we both stood reluctantly. "Helen," he said at the door, "I know this might be forward. Would you like to have dinner sometime?" A real dinner, not delivered pizza. I should have said no. Should have reminded him I was married, that there was a 25-year age difference, that this was dangerous territory for both of us. Instead, I heard myself say, "I'd like that very much. Tomorrow night, I'll pick you up at 7. "It's a date," I said, then realized what I'd said. "I mean, I know what you meant," he said with that smile that was becoming dangerously familiar. "And yes, Helen, it's definitely a date." The next evening, I spent 2 hours getting ready, something I hadn't done in years. I chose a black dress that hugged my curves in all the right places, styled my hair, applied makeup with the care of a woman half my age, preparing for her first date. When Tyler knocked at 7 sharp, my heart was racing like a teenager. He looked incredible, dark jeans, a crisp white button-down that showed off his athletic build, and that devastating smile that made my knees weak. "Wow," he said, his eyes sweeping over me appreciatively. "Helen, you look absolutely stunning." "Thank you," I said, feeling heat rise to my cheeks. "You clean up pretty well yourself." He took me to Romano's, a quiet Italian place across town where we wouldn't run into anyone I knew. Over candlelight and wine, we talked like old friends, about books, travel, dreams we'd put aside. Tyler was intelligent, funny, and treated me like I was the most fascinating woman in the world. "I have a confession," he said over dessert, his hand finding mine across the table. "I've been thinking about you since that first delivery. You're not like anyone I've ever met." "Tyler," I said softly, "you know this is complicated, right? I'm married, I'm older. I don't care about any of that," he said, his thumb tracing circles on my palm. "Age is just a number. What matters is how you make me feel." "How do I make you feel?" "Like I want to be better, like I want to take care of you, like I've been waiting my whole life to meet you." The intensity in his voice made my chest tight with emotion. When was the last time Greg had spoken to me with such passion? "This is dangerous," I whispered, The best things usually are, he replied. After dinner, he drove me home, parking in my driveway, as if he belonged there. We sat in his car, neither wanting the evening to end. Helen, he said, turning to face me, I want to see you again, not for delivery, not for coffee. I want to take you places, show you things, make you happy. My marriage is already over, he said gently. You said yourself Greg's never here, never notices you. You deserve so much more. He leaned closer, and I could smell his cologne, see the desire burning in his green eyes. May I kiss you? He asked softly. I should have said no. Should have gotten out of the car and gone inside, to my empty house and my absent husband's phone calls. Instead, I nodded. His lips were soft, warm, perfect against mine. He kissed me like I was precious, like I was something he'd been searching for his entire life. When we finally broke apart, we were both breathing hard. Come inside, I whispered. Helen, are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. Inside my house, the tension was electric. Tyler looked around at the pictures of Greg and me on the mantle, the evidence of my married life, but he didn't seem deterred. Are you having second thoughts? I asked nervously. Instead of answering, he pulled me into his arms and kissed me again, deeper this time, with a passion that made my head spin. I've wanted this since the moment I saw you, he murmured against my lips. His hands roamed over my body, reacquainting me with sensations I'd forgotten I could feel. When he lifted me in his arms and carried me upstairs, I felt like the heroine in a romance novel, instead of a 48-year-old suburban housewife. What happened in my bedroom was everything my marriage hadn't been in years. Tyler made love to me with an intensity and focus that made me feel beautiful, desired, alive. He touched me like I was a masterpiece, kissed me like I was air he needed to breathe. Afterward, we lay tangled in sheets that smelled like our passion, my head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat slow. What happens now? I asked quietly. Now you stop settling for less than you deserve, he said, his fingers stroking my hair. Now you start living for yourself. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. A text from Greg. Meetings running late. Trip extended another week. Hope you're not too bored. Tyler read the message over my shoulder and smiled. A whole week. That gives us time to figure this out properly. This is insane, I said. The age difference, the scandal if anyone finds out. Let them talk, Tyler said fiercely. You make me feel things I've never felt before. I don't care what anyone thinks. As dawn broke through my bedroom windows, I knew my old life was over. Whatever came next, divorce, gossip, starting over at 48 with a man young enough to be my son, it would be worth it for this feeling. For him, for the woman I'd rediscovered in his arms. Stay, I whispered, as he started to get dressed. Are you sure? Greg won't be back for a week. Stay with me. Let me cook for you. Wake up next to you. Pretend we're a normal couple for just a few days. He kissed me deeply, promising everything with that single kiss. What would you do in Helen's position? Choose comfort or passion? Let me know in the comments, and subscribe for more stories about forbidden love and second chances at any